Nick nods.
You know, there's a theory that the Grand Coulee Dam, which is close to Seattle, defeated the Germans when the war started. There was enough power for Boeing to go to full production. Lots of electricity to make aluminum. You know, the planes that won the Battle of Britain?
Cannot talk about
what is he saying?
His grandfather died. She and my mother only survivors. I'm telling him about mother.
Babushka rises to gather plates. Nick scoots back into his chair. Julia gestures that he stay. Babushka carries dishes into the kitchen. Anthony runs his toy car up the back of Babushka's chair.
She died after my father from accident in factory. He was in Soviet army in Afghanistan. Babushka cared for us, myself and my sister Ludmila here in their apartment.
Nick and Julia are silent. Anthony looks up from play.
I don't know who my real parents were. I mean, I know their names, but...
You were orphan?
Adopted.
Nick and Julia look in each other's eyes. Their hands move together across the table. End scene. Exterior, Greek embassy, night. Light snow outside the embassy, only starting together. Julia releases Nick's hands, steps in the door first. Interior, Greek embassy. Just inside, Dmitri talking with a guard, sees them.
Ah, my friends from the opera, please, welcome.
Guard takes coats and duffel bag. Julia keeps her purse.
Hello.
Dmitri kisses both Julia's cheeks, approaches Nick, who extends a defensive hand. They shake.
Ah, welcome. Dobro?
Thank
Hold
you.
your vat.
Thank you.
Dmitri leads them into a lavish banquet hall, lithogriphs of Greek ruins, antique furniture, a grand piano, the party convivial and low-key, not overfull. An aide draws Dmitri away. Nick and Julia cross to a bar.
I'll have your best cognac. No, Uzo.
Vera.
Julia displays none of the intimacy of their last days.
Well, Mr. Kravos, back to your roots.
Nick looks confused, shakes his head.
You really...
What?
Nothing.
Julia turns away. A Greek woman, early 20s, well-dressed, aristocratic, addresses her.
I love your skirt.
Oh, thank you. My boyfriend here bought it for me.
Julia takes her drink, walks away with the Greek woman. Nick watches.
Where?
Dmitri approaches Nick, who is shocked at Julia's sudden distance.
Where is it you are going, exactly, in Greece?
Nick swigs his beer, his voice slightly deeper.
A village called Vitalo, outside Athens.
Ah, I know it well. My father was born there.
My friend's fiance lives there. She's Ukrainian.
Did you know, until 30 years ago, there was no road to Vitalo. The villagers who moved to Athens walked home every August, a big caravan with horses, stopping to lay out food and spending the night in the fields on their way.
The ambassador, white-mustached in his 80s, comes to Dmitri's side.
Papa Andrea was elected in '79. The next year the road was built.
For the Olympics.
Oci, Papa. Milogio Vitalo.
Vitalo!
Julia stands alone and circumspect in the party, sipping her drink, watches the Greek woman play piano. Dmitri, the ambassador, with Nick.
Late in the war, I was on a Greek merchant ship. We came into Luzon after Mao's army drove out the Japanese. Chairman Mao requested an audience with our captain. We did not know if we were to be held captive, knew nothing about the Chinese, truly. He was a small man, but thick. He stood up at dinner and recited Homer, the Odyssey, in ancient Greek. So I, a young man and impressionable, returned to Greece a communist. Perhaps you are aware, in the 49, the elected socialists were thrown off by a coup, sponsored by your CIA.
The same as in Iran 3 years later, and in Chile in 1973.
I was a minor interior minister. We fled for our lives and sailed to Sebastopol, which has a long connection to Greece. A town nearby has a cave mentioned in Homer.
Balaclava. I've been there.
An assistant pulls the aide a few feet off, talks low.
You are a special kind of American, I can see.
He is Greek, Papa. His name is Gravos.
Nick, uncomfortable. The ambassador's curiosity piqued, but they are interrupted by an aide who puts a hand on the ambassador's arm, whispers in his ear. The ambassador takes Nick's hand.
You will excuse me. A pleasure to meet you.
Cut to Julia, seated at the piano, begins to play softly. Cut to Nick, watching Julia from afar. Dmitri swirls his drink.
One must be careful with these women. You contacted your friend on the internet, yes?
Nick nods.
These dating services are a credit card scam.
Nick looks at him, then back to Julia.
I haven't given my credit card number to anybody.
Or a woman will meet you here and have you spending money, money, money. Relationships with several men until they find one to marry, file for divorce, claim everything in court, and win. I've heard of this many times.
Nick watches Julia, thoughtful.
The ones not so strong are sold to brothels. Women from this country are held against their will from Istanbul to New York. But the strong ones, they will not sleep with you. Usually.
Nick sees the Greek woman talking with friends, watches her. Dmitri sips his drink.
And they will not fight for the right to translate Evgeny Onyechin.
Dmitri steps close. Nick's attention snaps back.
One must always leave oneself open to a wide sample of experience.
Nick nods, eyes on the Greek woman.
Excuse me.
Nick moves through the party toward the Greek woman, who is talking with a few friends. Cut to Julia playing piano, watches Nick approach the Greek woman and introduce himself. Julia stops improvising and starts to play a brisk, traditional Ukrainian dance. Cut to the center of the room, young people begin to dance. Cut to Nick looking across the room admiringly of Julia, awed by her skill. The Greek woman takes his hand, leading him into the dance. Cut to Julia, who sees the pair dancing, plays faster, faster. Dancers laugh, execute wild flings, the best barely keep time. Cut to Nick, who stops laughing, faces the Greek woman, both are doubled over laughing. Cut to Julia, playing at lightning speed. Dancers move away, stare. Her playing builds to a crescendo, then suddenly stops. In a blind fury, Julia slams her hands across the keys. Nick hurries over. Julia flails against the keyboard.
Julia! Julia, stop! Julia!
Julia brings both fists down a deep, angry chord. Glares up at Nick, face wet with tears. Nick yanks Julia to her feet, pulls her seething to the exit. Guard, following, presses coats on them. Julia snatches hers in a cold rage. Dmitri runs forward with Nick's bag, hands it to the guard. Julia pushes outside. Nick takes his bag, pulls his coat on, flustered, goes out. Exterior Greek embassy. Snow gathered in the street and coming down. Nick shoulders bag, holding his hat as Julia, several yards away, dons wrap. Plunks her hat on, their angry breath plumes on the cold air.
What the hell was that about?
You don't care about me, you just come here to fuck. It doesn't matter how easily distracted you are.
Julia stalks, eyes forward. Nick paces alongside.
Go back inside, Nick. Let that moussaka-eating bitch play with your limp dick. You want to pretend what is happening isn't happening. That is why you can't get harder. Oh, we are Kiev, you idiot. Not everyone here speaks English.
Down the block, a young male passerby calls out, "Hey, American! USA! Big star! Hey!" Suddenly vulnerable, Julia breaks down, sobs fiercely.
What am I supposed to do, Nick? Tell me, what am I supposed to do?
Nick stops, chews his lip, follows.
I think your cousin ripped me off. Tell him I canceled those checks as soon as he stole my suitcase.
Nick trudges faster after her.
Hey, maybe he'll get arrested when he tries to cash them.
Julia does not turn.
Fucking call police, asshole. You'll have an happy time. This is not Seattle.
What do you think, Julia? If that is your real name. What do you think I should do?
You should go back to your lake and drive alone across it back and forth until you die. I think also you could fuck anything standing up like some rare insect.
Nick stops. Julia plods ahead.
This sucks.
Julia whirs around, furious at his self-pity.
You suck. You are not part of the world, Nick Grabbles. You are...
Frustrated, Julia waves her hand.
The thing in space. Sputnik, Skylab, for telephone, internet.
A satellite?
Yeah, a satellite. Yeah, just like you arrogant, stupid country. This is why so unhappy.
It's been a con, all of it. Hasn't it?
You're such a fool with money. You would deserve to have it stolen.
Julia turns, stalks away. Nick, stunned, watches her.
This whole thing is a scam.
Off screen, a passerby further off releases a high, mocking laugh. Nick watches Julia vanish in the falling snow, turns, passes the embassy, guard closes the door, keeps going. End of scene.
And that's it.